In the next few minutes, you will discover a truth so profound that it has the power to shatter the chains of suffering that have bound you for years. This isn't another motivational speech or quick-fix solution. This is about understanding the very architecture of human pain, why it persists, how it reproduces itself in endless cycles, and most importantly, how you can finally break free from patterns that have kept you trapped in emotional prisons of your own making. You will learn that suffering isn't a punishment inflicted upon you by life, but rather a teacher offering you the keys to liberation. By the end of this video, you'll possess the tools to transform your deepest wounds into your greatest sources of wisdom and strength. The brutal awakening: suffering is not what happens to you. Suffering isn't caused by what happens to you, it's caused by your refusal to accept what already is. These words may sting, but they contain a liberation that most will never taste. The human condition is built upon a fundamental misunderstanding. We believe that external circumstances determine our internal state. When betrayal strikes, when love abandons us, when failure humiliates us, we point our fingers outward, declaring that life has wronged us. But Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human psyche, revealed a profound truth: what you resist persists. Your suffering doesn't come from the divorce papers, the rejection letter, or the diagnosis. It emerges from the voice within that screams, "This shouldn't be happening." It's the desperate fight against reality that creates the agony, not reality itself. Pain is inevitable, it's the price of being human. But suffering? Suffering is optional. It's the elaborate story we weave around our pain, the meaning we assign, the resistance we mount against the natural flow of existence. When you begin to see this distinction, you glimpse the first ray of light piercing through the darkness of perpetual anguish. The ego's secret addiction: how your identity feeds on pain. Beneath the surface of consciousness lies a more sinister truth: your ego has become addicted to suffering. It sounds paradoxical, even cruel, but observe your own patterns with unflinching honesty. How often do you find yourself rehearsing old wounds, replaying conversations that hurt you, or anticipating future disasters? Your ego, that constructed sense of self, has learned to derive its very existence from the stories of your pain. This isn't masochism, it's survival strategy gone wrong. The ego needs drama to feel real, conflict to establish boundaries, and suffering to maintain its narrative of separateness. When life becomes peaceful, the ego grows restless. It will unconsciously create chaos, pick fights, or sink into depression simply to feel the familiar weight of struggle. Your pain becomes your identity, your wounds become your credentials, your trauma becomes your calling card. I am the person who was abandoned, I am the one who always gets hurt, I am destined to suffer. These become the pillars upon which your sense of self stands. But what if these pillars are prisons? The unconscious repetition: why you keep choosing familiar pain. Here lies the cruelest irony of human psychology: we compulsively recreate the very experiences that wounded us most deeply. If abandonment marked your childhood, you will unconsciously choose partners who are emotionally unavailable. If criticism scarred your formative years, you will surround yourself with people who diminish your worth. If betrayal shattered your trust, you will repeatedly find yourself in situations where loyalty is tested and broken. This isn't weakness or bad luck, it's the unconscious mind's attempt to master unresolved trauma. Your psyche believes that if you can just get it right this time, if you can just love hard enough, achieve enough, or control enough, you can finally heal the original wound. But the strategy is flawed from its foundation. You cannot heal the past by recreating it. You cannot resolve childhood abandonment through adult relationships that mirror that abandonment. Your mind repeats what it knows, even if it destroys you, because the familiar hell feels safer than the unknown heaven. This unconscious repetition extends beyond relationships into every area of life. You sabotage success right before breakthrough because failure feels more familiar. You create chaos when peace arrives because turbulence feels more natural. You reject love when it's offered genuinely because rejection feels more believable. The patterns are so deeply embedded that they feel like fate, but they are actually choice, unconscious choice. The observer's awakening, making the unconscious conscious. The path to freedom begins with a single, revolutionary act, becoming the observer of your own patterns. Carl Jung proclaimed that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This awakening requires the courage to turn your gaze inward and examine the repetitive themes of your existence with compassionate but unflinching clarity. Start by asking yourself these penetrating questions. What emotion keeps showing up in your life, regardless of circumstances? What type of person do you consistently attract or feel drawn to? What situations trigger your deepest fears? What stories do you tell about yourself when you're in pain? The answers will reveal the invisible threads that have been pulling your life in predictable directions. Keep a journal of your emotional patterns. Notice when you feel abandoned, criticized, rejected, or betrayed. Look beyond the surface circumstances to the deeper feeling tone. You'll begin to see that the same emotional signature appears repeatedly, regardless of the specific people or situations involved. This isn't coincidence, it's your unconscious programming playing out its script. But once you can see the script, you can choose to rewrite it. Before we continue, I'd love to take a moment to sincerely thank you for being part of this journey toward personal beauty and endless growth. Your support truly means the world to me. If you enjoyed the content, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and sharing this video with others who might find it helpful. Your engagement is what keeps this channel growing and allows me to continue creating content for you. Now let's get back to the video. The liberation of radical acceptance, transforming resistance into flow. The ultimate act of rebellion against suffering is radical acceptance, not resignation, not passive defeat, but the conscious choice to stop fighting reality. This doesn't mean becoming doormat or abandoning your agency. It means recognizing that what has already happened cannot be unchanged by your resistance to it. The divorce has happened. The betrayal occurred. The loss is real. Your resistance doesn't alter these facts, it only adds layers of suffering to what was already painful. Radical acceptance is the alchemical fire that transforms lead into gold, pain into wisdom. When you stop pouring your energy into the futile battle against what is, that energy becomes available for what could be. When you cease demanding that the past be different, you can finally engage fully with the present. When you stop insisting that life conform to your expectations, you can discover the profound beauty that exists beyond your limited vision. This isn't a one-time decision but a practice that must be renewed moment by moment. Every time you catch yourself in the grip of "this shouldn't be happening," you have an opportunity to choose differently. Feel the resistance, acknowledge its presence, then consciously release your grip on how you think things should be. In that release, you'll discover a space of profound peace, not because circumstances have changed, but because your relationship to circumstances has transformed. The alchemical transformation, your wounds become your wisdom. The deepest truth of human existence is this: your wounds are not flaws to be hidden or mistakes to be regretted, they are portals to the most profound wisdom you will ever possess. Every betrayal that shattered your trust taught you the difference between authentic connection and mere convenience. Every rejection that broke your heart revealed the places where you had abandoned yourself. Every failure that humbled your pride stripped away the false identities that were limiting your true potential. Your pain becomes your power when you stop seeing it as something that happened to you and start recognizing it as something that happened for you. The universe doesn't waste suffering. Every tear you've cried has watered the seeds of compassion within you. Every night you've lain awake in anguish has deepened your capacity for understanding others' struggles. Every moment you felt alone has prepared you to be a beacon of light for others lost in similar darkness. This transformation doesn't happen automatically, it requires conscious participation. You must choose to mine your pain for its gifts, to extract wisdom from your wounds, to transform your trauma into treasure. When you do this, you stop being a victim of your past and become an alchemist of your experience. Your suffering becomes the raw material from which you forge your most authentic and powerful self. The end of abandonment, how healing begins when you stop leaving yourself. Healing begins when you stop abandoning yourself. This is perhaps the most profound truth you'll ever encounter. Every time you betray your own needs to please others, every time you silence your truth to avoid conflict, every time you choose what others want over what you know is right for you, you recreate the original wound of abandonment, but this time, you are both the abandoner and the abandoned. Most people spend their lives trying to prevent others from leaving them, never realizing that the most devastating abandonment is the one they inflict upon themselves. You abandon yourself when you stay in relationships that diminish you, when you pursue goals that aren't aligned with your authentic desires, when you speak words that contradict your inner knowing, when you allow fear to override your intuition. The antidote to this self-abandonment is self-loyalty, the unwavering commitment to honor your truth, protect your energy, and nurture your authentic self with the same fierce devotion you would show a beloved child. When you stop abandoning yourself, others' departures lose their power to devastate you. When you become your own secure base, you no longer need others to complete you. This doesn't make you isolated or self-sufficient to a fault, it makes you whole enough to engage in relationships from choice rather than need, from abundance rather than desperation. Your declaration of freedom, the power to transform pain into purpose. You stand now at the threshold of a new understanding. Behind you lies a trail of repeated patterns, unconscious choices, and familiar suffering. Before you stretches an infinite landscape of possibility, where your wounds become wisdom, your pain becomes power, and your suffering becomes the very foundation of your strength. The cycle ends here, in this moment, with your conscious choice to see clearly, accept fully, and transform completely. You are not condemned to repeat the patterns that have haunted your past. You are not destined to suffer because you have suffered before. You are not defined by what has been done to you, but by what you choose to do with what has been done to you. Declare now, with the full force of your being, I transform my pain into power. I break the chains that bound my ancestors. I heal not just for myself, but for every soul who will be touched by my transformed presence. I refuse to abandon myself ever again. I choose love over fear, growth over comfort, truth over convenience. I am no longer the victim of my story, I am its author, its hero, and its ultimate triumph. The time for unconscious suffering has ended. The era of conscious transformation has begun. Your wounds are healing, your patterns are breaking, and your true power is awakening. This is not the end of your pain, it is the beginning of your purpose.